Good morning, America. Come join us for breakfast.
You're the one. We're fixing breakfast for you. You're the one.
At McDonald's, we're fixing a hot, delicious breakfast just for you. Fresh scrambled eggs, hot cakes and sausage, our own Egg McMuffin, lots of Danish pastries. Try 'em.
At McDonald's.
We do it all for you.
Since the dawn of time, humanity has always found ways to avoid eating a healthy breakfast. I do not want your eggs, your Greek yogurt, but you also have the fresh hell that is the United Kingdom. No wonder we kicked your ass in that little revolutionary scuffle. You guys eat this crap? This is America, land of the free, home of the orange cream pop Captain Crunch.
What?
Because if anyone's gonna lose all their teeth first, it's gonna be us. You guys really seem to enjoy the last time I tortured myself with research on a particular food item, so I decided that we needed a sequel. First, the idea was to go over every weird cereal, but I didn't think you guys wanted to hear me talk about poop like a champion for 20 minutes. So I switched gears to something more topical. In America, the cereal game is fiercely competitive, kind of like Coke and Pepsi. Host, Kellogg's, General Mills, everyone is in a race to see who can create the most revolting shit you've ever seen in your life.
You're ugly, you're disgusting, I'm gonna kill you, give me $200.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves here. In fact, let's wind back a couple of centuries. By the end of this, you'll never see cereal the same way again. The year is 1894. We are at Battle Creek Sanitarium, a health resort in Michigan. But this was no resort. The food sucked a big ass. One night, John Kellogg accidentally left a batch of wheat berry dough behind. The next morning, instead of throwing it away like a normal person, he put it through the dough rollers. Shockingly, the crafting table produced delicate flakes, which he then baked, and thus, corn flakes were born unto the world. Today, corn flakes is a breakfast cereal made from toasting flakes of corn instead of wheat. In terms of plainness, it's about as basic as cereal gets, which is fitting for the first cereal ever. Its sugar content is relatively low, with only 4 grams of it in every serving, which is about a cup of cereal. It's pretty wholesome that this whole industry started as a passing curiosity. You know, what happens if I put this older dough through the baking process? Ooh, I get flakes? It's a nice story, but you'd be surprised to know that it's not as nice as you would expect. That's because once the cereal actually became popular, and the Kellogg's started the Kellogg Company, John's brother Will Kellogg would challenge him to a fierce legal battle. There's a lot of disagreement over who actually invented cornflakes. I mean, I can't say that I blame them. On a scale of 1 to famous, inventor of cornflakes definitely ranks higher than like Chet Hanks. John's wife Ella claims to be the one to suggest rolling out the dough into thin sheets. According to others, though, John had that idea in a dream and used his wife's equipment to do the rolling. It's written on the wiki like he sleptwalked and made cornflakes in his sleep, but I don't think that's what it's saying. It's also said that John's brother Will was tasked with repeating the accidental creation, which put Will and Ella at odds with each other. So you have his brother and his wife fighting. They would each tell their side of the story, in which they would minimize the involvement of the other while emphasizing their own involvement. Regardless of who invented it, the process that was discovered is now known as tempering and is a staple of the cereal industry. There are several variations on the classic cornflakes formula: cornflakes original, cornflakes honey, and cornflakes chocolate. I really like the ad for cornflakes chocolate. Like, what? There's a few other little wrinkles about cornflakes that I found to be pretty interesting. At one point, Will Kellogg tried to add sugar to the recipe to make it more attractive to a wider audience. This caused a rift between the brothers. Had John seen how popular sugary cereals would become, I really think he would have conceded. In 1907, his company ran an advertisement which offered a free box of cereal to, and I quote, any woman who winked at their grocer. That's a 1000 IQ move if I've ever seen one. Hey baby, you want some free anti-masturbation flakes? Actually, let's examine that claim for a moment. There's this popular rumor that cornflakes were invented in order to stop people from masturbating. Well, according to the wiki, there is a disputed claim that cornflakes were intended to suppress sexual desire. Kellogg did promote a simple, pure, and unstimulating diet for that reason, but the marketing and patent on cornflakes made no mention of it. So this may have been a twisting of the word unstimulating. Still funny though.
You close? You close? You close?
There's been a lot of cornflakes mascots. The most popular is Cornelius Corny Rooster, the green chicken looking thing on the front of the box. He's been the mascot since his debut. In his early commercials, he spouted the catchphrase, "Wake up, up to Kellogg's cornflakes." Why a rooster? Family friend Nancy Richards suggested the animal, since the Welsh word for rooster sounded similar to Kellogg. The most notable thing about cornflakes today is its versatile use in other recipes. They're an effective substitute for breadcrumbs, they're a primary ingredient in funeral potatoes, which is a Mormon dish, and they're also involved in a lot of international snack foods. In fact, Kellogg's own website lists recipes like chicken with cornflake crumbs, cornflake pie crust, and golden fried salmon steaks. I mean, damn, that sounds so good right now. I am hungry. But there's one last thing you need to know about cornflakes. They weren't the only thing that originated from that sanitarium. Down the hall, in a hospital bed, sat Kellogg's future rival, C.W. Post. And he wouldn't be the only one.
Coming to my game today?
No.
You laugh, but I feel like a winner. Like Ken Griffey Jr. Because I've been practicing and eating Frosted Wheaties as part of my complete breakfast. Big League Crunch, great frosted take.
How is that not racist to you? This is a terrible example of blackface.
Wheaties were created in 1921, again by accident. A wheat bran mixture was spilled onto a hot stove by a Minnesotan clinician working at the Washburn Crosby Company, which would later be known as General Mills. The flakes that were created from this accident had to be strengthened in 36 different ways to withstand their packaging. When they finally cracked the code in 1924, the cereal was named Washburn's Gold Medal Whole Wheat Flakes. A bit later, the name was changed to Wheaties as a result of a contest. Another suggested name was Nutties, which is way funnier, but also wouldn't make any sense considering we're dealing with a mixture of wheat and bran, as opposed to cornflakes, which are, of course, corn. There are different flavors of Wheaties, believe it or not. They don't come into play until almost the 2000s, but we do have Honey Frosted Wheaties, Crispy Wheaties and Raisins, Wheaties Energy Crunch, and Wheaties Fuel. These technically aren't Wheaties flavors, though. They're really more like spin-off brands. The original Wheaties has 5 grams of sugar per serving, one more than cornflakes. There is a lot here about the history of Wheaties. Way too much for a simple YouTube excursion, so I'll just give you the spark notes. Wheaties came up with the genius idea of getting athletes to sponsor the cereal, which really boosted its sales as a healthy breakfast. At some point, they decided to stop doing this and attempted to market the cereal towards kids, but this didn't go over too well and they embarrassingly redirected back to the sports thing. Interestingly, Wheaties has ties to the early career of one Ronald Reagan. In the 30s, the future president was a sports broadcaster announcer in Des Moines, Iowa. This led to his selection in 1937 as the most popular Wheaties announcer in the nation. It can be argued that this is what started his eventual film career, and then of course, he would go on to become president. Nowadays, Wheaties is almost forgotten. Between 2005 and 2014, sales of Wheaties declined by an impressive 78%. In my opinion, it's just too basic of a cereal to compete with what we have now. Sure, there will always be a market for healthier cereals like this, but it just isn't promoted enough to that niche group. A Thunderbolts tie-in isn't exactly going to save your dying brand, but at the same time, I have to commend them for not giving in and transforming it into something unrecognizable. They didn't add a bunch of sugar in order to market to the current shopper. They stuck to their formula and kept it alive for anyone that might want it. And that's pretty cool.
This tumble crew has a plan, and they begin by digging into those 2 scoops in every Kellogg's pack. 2 scoops, keep them coming back for 2 scoops of plump, juicy raisins in Kellogg's Raisin Bran. Hooked up and in command, they're working now, but they're thinking how they love 2 scoops and golden flakes of bran. 2 scoops, they're turning back again for 2 scoops of plump, juicy raisins in Kellogg's Raisin Bran. 2 scoops.
Now, this is where things start to get really interesting. Enough of that standard wheat flake crap. We've finally arrived at the point where we start adding stuff to the recipe. Namely, raisins.
Hey Garfield, we're going to eat nothing but raisins.
Raisin Bran was introduced in 1926 by Skinner. Skinner Manufacturing Company. For 17 years, Skinner had ownership over his product's name, until both Kellogg's and Post started selling their own versions of Raisin Bran. Furious, he filed a cease and desist order in an attempt to hold a monopoly on all Raisin Bran cereals. This order was batted straight down, because in 1944, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 8th Circuit found that the name Raisin Bran could not be appropriated as a trademark because a name which is merely descriptive of the ingredients, qualities, or characteristics of an article of trade cannot be appropriated as a trademark, and the exclusive use of it afforded legal protection. The use of a similar name by another to truthfully describe his own product does not constitute a legal or moral wrong, even if its effect is to cause the public to mistake the origin or ownership of the product.
It's now illegal.
Since the name Raisin Bran only describes what ingredients are in the cereal, it's too generic to be trademarked. This is why, when you go to the store, you can find so many different brands of Raisin Bran. It actually gets incredibly confusing. Post sells Raisin Bran. Kellogg's sells 2 Scoops Raisin Bran, which is different from Raisin Bran. To add to the mess, General Mills sells Total Raisin Bran. They are all effectively the same cereal, owned by 3 different companies. For the purposes of this video, we'll be sticking with 2 Scoops Raisin Bran, since I think it's the one we all know the best. In the way of flavors, Raisin Bran is pretty limited. You've got the original, and you've got only 2 others, Raisin Bran Cranberry and Raisin Bran Crunch.
Was that the
I was going to write something like, come on guys, you can do better than that, but think about it. You can't really change the flavor of the raisins, and the bran is just bran. There's honestly not much you can do there. But here's the real kicker. Remember how I said Corn Flakes has 4 grams of sugar per serving, and Wheaties has 5? Guess how many Raisin Bran has? 18. Raisin Bran is often marketed as a healthy cereal, but in fact, it is one of the most sugary cereals you can buy at the store. Pound for pound, Raisin Bran contains more sugar than Lucky Charms. The USDA has this food program called the Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infants, and Children, or WIC. They explicitly do not allow the sale of Raisin Bran, as it contains too much sugar. So your dad, who's bragging about how early he wakes up and how healthy his Raisin Bran breakfast is, turns out he's just as much fat ass as the rest of us.
Introducing the new talking cereal.
No. How's this?
No.
What are you guys talking about?
The sound marshmallows make.
In our new Marshmallow Crispy cereal.
You can't go snap, crackle, pop.
Marshmallow.
Kellogg's Marshmallow Crispies is part of this complete breakfast.
Do you like them?
That's the sound!
Rice Krispies are crisped rice. Big surprise. They entered the scene in 1928. Sugar-wise, they're one of the healthier cereals out there, with only 4 grams per cup, comparable to Corn Flakes. This is one of the all-time classics for its versatility in other recipes, which also makes it similar to Corn Flakes in that regard. This is another Kellogg's original. What makes the cereal special is the sounds it makes when it interacts with milk. The rice tends to collapse, making the famous snap, crackle, and pop, which are also the names of its titular mascots. These mascots were created by Vernon Grant in the 1930s. Snap actually came first in 1933, who was soon followed by Crackle and Pop, his gnome-like brethren. They're the first and longest-running Kellogg's mascots. In physics, Snap, Crackle, and Pop inspired shorthand names for the 4th, 5th, and 6th derivatives of position.
What the hell?
What does that mean? Okay, so in physics, the first derivative of position is velocity, the second derivative is acceleration, and the third is the change in acceleration, or the jerk. The 4th, 5th, and 6th derivatives are actually called snap, crackle, and pop. But why though? I have here a list of the different slogans you can find in other countries where Rice Krispies are sold, and in other languages. In English, you obviously have snap, crackle, pop. In Danish, it's piff, paff, poff. You also have certified hood classics like Piff, Paff, Puff, Nisper, Nasper, Nusper, Pim, Pam, Pum, Rix, Rax, Pox, Crick, Crack, Croc, Nap, Netter, Knack, and Poos, Paz, Pez.
Boom, bam, bop, bada, bop, boom, pow.
Kellogg's has stated that the US version of Rice Krispies uses rice sourced from Louisiana and Arkansas, which is a bit of a different process than it was originally. At first, the patent called for partially dried grain, only partially, which would allow it to expand when exposed to high temperatures. This is what creates its light and airy texture, which is of course what leads to the famous snap, crackle, and pop. There are so many flavors of Rice Krispies. I'm sure I'll miss a few, but here is everything I was able to find. You have the original Rice Krispies, Cocoa Krispies, Rice Krispies with vanilla flavor, Strawberry Krispies, and Rainbow Krispies. If you want to include discontinued flavors, you have Frosted Rice Krispies, Marshmallow Rice Krispies, another version of Strawberry Rice Krispies, Apple Cinnamon Rice Krispies, Berry Rice Krispies, Rice Krispies with honey, and Halloween Rice Krispies, which included orange-colored Krispies. There's a lot to choose from here. Kellogg's actually got into some hot water in 2010 when the FTC ruled that their health claims were misleading. Things like includes antioxidants and supports your child's immunity. Kellogg's also owns Frosted Mini Wheats, which has gotten in trouble for doing something similar. Hey, I'll take a little misinformation if it means I can keep eating Scotcheroos. If you haven't had these, oh my god, are you missing out. Rice Krispies, chocolate, butterscotch, and a whole lot of sugar. If there's one thing that I had to eat for the rest of my life, it would be Scotcheroos.
Gloria, why don't you try Rice Chex cereal for a change?
Mom, you know how I feel about Chex.
No, how do you feel about Chex?
Just not into Chex, Dad.
Well, maybe you could get into one spoonful.
Okay. Hey, these Rice Chex taste great. They're light and crispy.
So, you like them?
Yeah.
Right on.
Groovy.
It's the 1930s. The Great Depression is hitting us hard. But in the midst of the hardship, a new cereal was able to emerge. Chex was introduced in 1936 under its original name, Shredded Ralston. Damn, who is Ralston, and what did he do to get shredded? It was renamed in 1950 and sold to General Mills in 1997. But Kellogg's owns the rights to the brand in South Korea and Singapore. The general appearance of the cereal is described in a 50s ad like this: golden toasted shreds of rice, crisscrossed into hollow, bite-sized waffles, shaped just right for easy eating. And at 4 grams of sugar per serving, it probably goes down pretty easy too. If we're talking just general opinions here, I like Chex. It's not a cereal that comes to mind when you're going down the cereal aisle, but it toes the line between healthy and unhealthy perfectly. Because yes, if you get one of the OG flavors, you're probably pretty safe. Like I said, 4 grams of sugar. But we've come a long way since the 30s. Now you've got Rice Chex, Wheat Chex, Corn Chex, Honey Nut Chex, Chocolate Chex, Cinnamon Chex, Blueberry Chex, Peanut Butter Chex, Strawberry Vanilla Chex, Raisin Bran Chex, Sugar Frosted Chex, Sugar Chex, Super Sugar Chex, Oat Chex, Bran Chex, Double Chex, Wheat and Raisin Chex, Graham Chex, Honey Graham Chex, Frosted Mini Chex, Strawberry Chex, Multi-Brand Chex, Green Onion Chex, Vanilla Chex, and Apple Cinnamon Chex. I hope you enjoyed that, because the reason this video took so damn long is because I had to cut out all those PNGs in Photoshop. For several years, the cereal would score tie-ins with the Peanuts cartoon. Several advertisements featured characters from the comic strip. This was done in order to market the cereal towards children, a shift which began in 1941 when they began comic book giveaways. A decade later, both Rice Chex and Wheat Chex had box top giveaways aimed right at the kids. The wiki says that one of the available prizes was a ripcord helicopter, which is pretty goddamn badass, and a great idea. Well, Ralston was tired of having great ideas, so just 5 years later, he reversed this entirely. This box contains 12 ounces of crunchable, munchable Wheat Chex, the only cereal made on purpose for grown-ups. Someone's not getting invited back to the sleepover. This would be reversed again in the 70s, when Casper the Friendly Ghost was used to market the cereal. And of course, we can't talk about Chex without bringing up Chex Quest, a Doom clone where you would take on the mantle of Chex Warrior, clad in Chex armor. As far as tie-in video games go, I've certainly seen worse. Okay, maybe it's not like a masterpiece. My favorite Chex thing is the commercial where the two leads have an unnatural amount of sexual tension.
Try some Wheat Chex, honey.
No, thanks.
They're so good.
Yeah, I bet.
And wheat is so good for you.
Okay. Hey, the Wheat Chex are good. They're smaller than I thought. Lighter than I thought wheat could be. Really tasty.
Honey, do something for me.
Anything.
Let me have some Wheat Chex.
Okay.
Probably the most notable contribution made by Chex is Chex Mix, which was what was being advertised in that Peanuts ad. Chex can be mixed with other flavors of Chex, as well as pretzels, nuts, and baked crackers. If you check their website, there are a ton of combinations they've recommended. My favorite of which is Muddy Buddies, which you can buy pre-mixed in at the store. It's also called Puppy Chow by the furry community, and also by everyone else, apparently. I really thought that would be a furry thing.
Fullback Bobby is a boy of 9. He can really hit that wine. He's a star because he knows he's got go power from Cheerios. He's got go power. There he goes. He's feeling his Cheerios.
Cheerios is one of the actual OGs here. Released in 1941, it consists of pulverized oats in the shape of a solid torus. Pulverized torus? That's a really cool description for something so bland. I'm sorry, but have you ever heard of someone buying regular-ass Cheerios?
You're a fucking idiot!
For the unfamiliar, regular Cheerios have been supplanted by the vastly superior Honey Nut Cheerios, which is regular Cheerios with a very impressive honey taste. But for consistency's sake, regular Cheerios have a sugar content of just 2 grams, our lowest so far. But they weren't introduced as Cheerios. Their original name was pronounced Cheeriots, but was shortened just 4 years later. Why? Quaker Oats claimed to hold the rights to the term oats, which is kind of insane because we just talked about not being able to own the name Raisin Bran, but it may have just been a case of not wanting to start a whole thing over it, and Cheerios is pretty damn close to Cheeriots. I mean, it may have already been a misnomer. The process of creating Cheerios is actually based on the process of creating the cereal Kix, which was invented in 1937. The process for the flour starts in Minneapolis before being finished in Iowa, Georgia, and New York. Except we're all too busy snacking on Honey Nut Cheerios instead. What are the other flavors? Well, strap in for this one, boys. We've got Cheerios, Cinnamon Nut Cheerios, which actually predate Honey Nut, Peanut Butter Cheerios, Apple Cinnamon Cheerios, Multi-Grain Cheerios, Frosted Cheerios, Yogurt Burst Cheerios, Fruity Cheerios, Oat Cluster Crunch Cheerios, Banana Nut Cheerios, Chocolate Cheerios, Cinnamon Burst Cheerios, Multi-Grain Peanut Butter Cheerios, Multi-Grain Cheerios Dark Chocolate Crunch, Cheerios Protein, Ancient Grain Cheerios, which is Cheerios made with Kamut wheat, spelt, and quinoa, Pumpkin Spice Cheerios, Chocolate Peanut Butter Cheerios, Strawberry Cheerios, Very Berry Cheerios, Peach Cheerios, Blueberry Cheerios, Maple Cheerios, Cinnamon Cheerios, Toasted Coconut Cheerios, Frosted Vanilla Cheerios, Chocolate Strawberry Cheerios, banana caramel Cheerios. It's not caramel to us Midwesterners, you pretentious fuck. Honey vanilla Cheerios, strawberry banana Cheerios, frosted lemon Cheerios, peach mango Cheerios, Cheerio veggie blends, Cheerios cinnamon protein, Cheerios strawberry protein, Cheerios cookies and cream protein, Cheerios cinnamon oat crunch, Cheerios berry oat crunch, and Cheerios chocolate oat crunch.
Wow, that's a lot of words.
Now for the discontinued Cheerios. Cheerios and X's, Team Cheerios, Millennios, Berry Burst Cheerios, and Dulce de Leche Cheerios. That's a lot of flavors, and my voice is already completely thrashed. Because of its soft texture, Cheerios has been a popular baby food for years. It's commonly used as a transition food from semi-solid to solid. General Mills have deployed several mascots over the years. The first was Cheery O'Leary, a cartoon girl who would interact with the entertainers of the time. Cheery was replaced with Joe. Joe was replaced with the Cheerios Kid. The Cheerios Kid would finish his Cheerios, then solve whatever problem was presented in the advertisement. Very basic structure. He lasted for several years, and has made reappearances in the modern day for special occasions. Similar to Chex, General Mills would order a Peanuts tie-in for Cheerios. In the commercials, you'd have a bunch of the Peanuts characters performing a task, losing their energy halfway through, and then another character would say, "Oh, it's because we haven't finished our Cheerios." Very subtle, guys. And this wasn't their only marketing stunt. Flash forward all the way to 2012. To promote the CW block Vortex, special boxes of Cheerios were branded as Vortex O's. I can't find an image of a box of Vortex O's, but if you're familiar, let me know in the comments. But it wouldn't be a modern cereal without at least one controversy. 2013, a Cheerios ad titled "Just Checking" features an interracial family where the daughter asks her white mom if Cheerios is good for the heart, as her black father mentioned. The mom says the cereal is good for the heart, so the daughter puts it on her dad's chest while he's sleeping.
Oh my goodness!
I don't really see the issue here. I guess 2013 was a bit too soon to show an interracial couple in an ad. Like, seriously? I can't find any other listed reason why this ad was controversial. You should read through the comments on the YouTube video though. They're a hell of a thing. Oh wait, there's more? Yup. In 2009, the FDA sent a letter to General Mills indicating that Cheerios was being sold as an unapproved new drug. So, the label on the box reads, "You can lower your You can lower your cholesterol in 4% in 6 weeks." And did you know that in just 6 weeks, Cheerios can reduce bad cholesterol by an average of 4%? The FDA saw this and required Cheerios to go through the proper channels if they wanted to market the cereal as a drug. General Mills sent them a letter basically saying,
Nuh-uh. The fuck you mean, nuh-uh?
They said the FDA had been okay with it for 2 years, and that's how long it's been on the box, so get stuffed. They took 3 entire years just to respond to this, and they finally sent a letter back saying, okay, the FDA complained about a non-issue, the B told them to shove it up their ass, and they listened. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this video so far, I'd like to quickly remind you of my second channel, Lavender Coretta. This is Candles, this is Coretta. We do a lot of fun deep dives on the main channel, but if you're looking for something with a little more substance, check this one out. I'm on a mission to provide widely available sexual health and wellness for young men. It's not something men get a lot of support for, but it's just as important. It's all purely educational, non-political, and unbiased except for that one episode. It's targeted mainly towards men aged 18 to 24, but I really just make it for whoever needs it. So if you enjoy the content over here, I guarantee you'll enjoy the spicier content over there. Thank you.
My Super Golden Crisp cereal with 8 vitamins makes this nutritious breakfast really neat.
I just love that sweet, crispy wheat.
Whoa, ho, what's up, Croc?
Don't be bashful with that box, Sugar Bear. Put the pole in the bowl.
Time for a vitamin pack punch. In case he bit off more than he could chew. I can't get enough of Super Golden Crisp. It's got the crunch with punch.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that at one time, Golden Crisp was my favorite cereal. It came screaming onto the scene in 1948. Golden Crisp is basically sweetened, candy-coated puffed wheat. Candy-coated is right because this stuff is basically candy. You don't get to be 21 grams of sugar per serving and not be a candy disguised as cereal. Flashback to the 1904 World's Fair. The Quaker Oats Company introduces the concept of a cereal that mimics the candy-esque Cracker Jacks. The initial tests flopped, the first being Ranger Joe, the first of its kind. Post introduced their own version in 1948 called Happy Jacks, which was then renamed to Sugar Crisp. Sugar Crisp debuted with an astonishing 51% sugar content, which was only eclipsed by Sugar Smacks, later renamed to Honey Smacks, which we'll get to. Sugar Smacks had them beat at 55%. Literally over half of this product was sugar. After another round of name changes with Super Sugar Crisp, Super Golden Crisp, and Golden Crisp, they finally decided that was good enough. Around this time, a lot of cereals were dropping the word sugar from their names. In the early 1970s, there was a short, limited edition variant called Super Orange Crisp, which had orange-flavored O's in it. In the 50s, advertisements were genuinely trying to promote Sugar Crisp as a viable breakfast food, over half its weight in sugar, remember that. These ads touted 3 mascots for the cereal, 3 bears named Dandy, Handy, and Candy. Their slogan was, "As a cereal it's dandy, for snacks it's so handy, or eat it like candy." Well, at least they were being honest about its candiness. Later on, this bear would be condensed into one, named Sugar Bear. That's really the only notable thing about Golden Crisp. It's obscene amounts of sugar. Remember how I said it was found to be 51% sugar? Well, in 1975, they tested Super Orange Crisp. They found it to be 71% sugar. I mean, what's left at that point? It's hilarious because the person who found this out was a dentist, Ira Shannon. She got tired of treating so many cavities and she wanted to get to the bottom of it. 71% is insane numbers.
Pin back your ears and listen up, fellas. I'm gonna tell you how to make your friends jealous. You gotta find the key to the Frosty's taste from the top secret formula on which it's based. Wow, Tony, wow, Tony, wow, Tony, wow. How, Tony, how, Tony, how, Tony, how.
Delicious, dazzling, light, they're kicking. Try 'em, kids, your lips you'll be licking. Now, what makes them so appealing? It's a secret formula, but shut up! Shut up!
Frosted Flakes was introduced in 1952. This is a very standard cereal, nothing crazy. Imagine cornflakes, but dusted with sugar. Being a cornflakes adjacent cereal, this is, of course, a Kellogg's product. Interestingly, this is a similar situation to Raisin Bran, where the name is too generic to be copyrighted. You'll see a lot of different Frosted Flakes at the store. It used to be known as Sugar Frosted Flakes, but sugar was also dropped from its name. It does have other names in international markets, and there's something. The UK has Frosties, Hispanic America has Zucaritas, and Japan has Corn Frosty. Frosted Flakes is the second highest selling cereal in the United States behind Honey Nut Cheerios, and that is likely because of its marketing. Tony the Tiger is one of the most recognizable cereal mascots in America. He's been all over the advertising for decades. He's iconic. In most advertisements, he'll say his catchphrase,
"They're great!"
It's simple but punchy. He's had a lot of different voices over the years. Dallas McKennon, Thurl Ravenscroft, Tex Brashear, and even professional wrestling announcer Lee Marshall. Frosted Flakes was also a major sponsor of Adventures with Superman, not the modern one with the deceptively hot Lois. I'm talking about the one from the 1950s. On the DVD release of the first season, they've included many of the tie-in commercials. The Tiger can also be found sponsoring programming on PBS, on series like Dragon Tales.
Dragon Tales, Dragon Tales.
The original flavor of Frosted Flakes has 12 grams of sugar, making it comparable to, nothing on this list. actually. There's a lot of stuff in part 2 that has around 12 grams of sugar per serving, like Cookie Crisp and Captain Crunch with no berries. But there's more than just the original flavor. In the 70s, Tony the Tiger Jr. was the mascot for Frosted Rice, which was similar to Rice Krispies. There's also Birthday Confetti Frosted Flakes, Cocoa Frosted Flakes, Tony Cinnamon Crunchers, Whole Grain Tiger Power, which is Frosted Flakes with added protein, Tony's Turbos, Frosted Flakes Gold, which is Frosted Flakes with honey, Frosted Flakes Chocolate, Banana Frosted Flakes, Cinnamon Frosted Flakes, Banana Cream Frosted Flakes, Frosted Flakes with Marshmallows, Cinnamon French Toast Frosted Flakes, and Strawberry Milkshake Frosted Flakes. I'm sorry, but that last one is a hard garbage from me. I've seen it in the store, and you're getting too far away from the magic. You know, at least we have the version where they sold you a gun inside the box.
In each special packet of Sugar Frosted Flakes, Kellogg's great free offer of famous guns of the Wild West. There are 2 different guns in every packet.
Dig 'em. I need breakfast. Yeah, Kellogg's Smacks. Let me have those sweet little puffs of wheat. Uh-oh. I'm back. Thanks, kitty. Now for Kellogg's Smacks. Hey, Clarence, want to try my blood burger?
And here we have Honey Smacks, pretty much a clone of Golden Crisp. It was introduced 5 years after Golden Crisp in 1953. Do you remember how many grams of sugar were in one serving of Golden Crisp? That's right, 21 grams. Honey Smacks comes at a close second at 18 grams of sugar per serving. That is over 4 times the sugar of Rice Krispies. Let that sink in. When Honey Smacks was introduced, it did have the highest sugar percentage at 56%. Well, 55 to 56. This cereal was formerly known as Sugar Smacks. The reason it was changed to Honey Smacks was to downplay its sugar content, although honey isn't going to fool a lot of people. The wiki has a section that calls out the cereal for being misleading in its name. The product title Honey Smacks is incongruous if not misrepresentative, since honey is actually a minor ingredient in the recipe. The ingredient label indicates that sugar and dextrose are at least 2/3 of the sugar ingredients by weight. Conversely, the proportion of honey in the recipe could range from trace amounts to 1/3. So it doesn't really make sense to call it Honey Smacks, because it's not really a honey-based cereal. Then again, Smacks isn't really a term that we can grab onto either. In this case, Smacks is functioning like crisp or crunch. Do you smack your cereal when you eat it? So who's the mascot marketing this confusingly named cereal? Cause he's got a tough job. Well, the first was Cliffy the Clown, who was a clown, shocker. You also had Smaxy the Seal, which is kind of an awesome name, but he's not half as awesome as Quick Draw McGraw, a Hanna-Barbera character. That name just screams, I was invented to market this disease to children. The Smackin' Brothers were 2 boys who loved a roughhouse. According to the wiki, these ads usually featured the brothers wanting sugar smacks, but winding up smacking each other instead. A perfect role model for our nation's youth. And of course, Dig-'em Frog has taken up the mantle in the modern era. He's a frog with a cool hat. Fun fact, I believe JonTron was the editor for the wiki page, as he specifically calls out that the next mascot, Wally Bear, is not to be confused with Wally from Wally Bear and the No Gang. Wally Bear kinda sucked, so they eventually brought back the frog. He was at one point voiced by Frank Welker though, so that's pretty cool. Hey, remember like 2 paragraphs ago when I called Honey Smacks a disease? I bet that some of you clocked that as weird, but I'm actually not wrong. Kellogg's announced a voluntary recall of certain Honey Smacks packages in 2018 due to the possible presence of salmonella. Although the recall included only packages with a specific range of expiration dates, the CDC later advised consumers to avoid eating the cereal entirely. So it sounds like after they confirmed that it wasn't a widespread issue, they were like, you know what? Garbage cereal. Don't let your kids eat it.
Kids are voting for the next fruity color in Trix. I love them both.
The votes are coming in.
And with this disguise, I'll be sure to be on the winning team.
Wild cherry.
Red, red, red.
Blueberry.
Blue, blue.
Kids, your vote can help us decide how to make fruity Trix more colorful than ever.
Wild cherry red. Blueberry blue.
2
fruity colors to vote for, with ballots on the back of marked boxes of Trix, a colorful part of a good breakfast.
Red or blue, it's up to you.
Trix was introduced in 1954 by General Mills. This cereal consisted of sweetened, fruity corn pieces. Now, here's something that I can't believe I never realized. What's another Trix-like cereal owned by General Mills? Kix. Trix is the sugary version of Kix, with 12 grams of sugar like Frosted Flakes. They look basically the same, except one is fruity. It's created using the exact same process. It's just a different flavor of Kix. I don't know if I'm an idiot and never realized that, but yeah. The original cereal had just 3 colors: orangey orange, lemony yellow, and raspberry red. But over the years, 5 more colors have been added and taken away at various points: grapey purple, lime green, wild berry blue, I don't know what the difference is there, and watermelon. Trix sticks pretty close to its original look, but they have introduced variants where they mix flavors into a single piece, which isn't all that interesting. I'd actually argue that the Trix yogurt is just as, if not more, recognizable than the cereal itself at this point. The original version of Trix contained all spherical pieces, but if you haven't kept up with it in a while, this has been changed at least once. In 1991, the shape was changed to fruit-shaped pieces in order to not be confused with Berry Berry Kix, which was introduced a year later. Fans seem to appreciate this change, which is why they were upset when this decision was reversed in 2007 and then reversed again in 2018. That's right, you eat your circles. I wonder who's worse, flat Trixers or the Snyder fans?
Hey buddy, eyes up here.
You'd think that Trix is one of the first cereals that would have to get rid of their artificial colors, but you'd be surprised. 10 years ago, Trix switched from artificial to natural colors. They did have to drop the green and blue puffs because they couldn't find natural alternatives, but they were able to find alternatives for red, orange, yellow, and purple. Guess what? This change lasted only 2 stinking years, as they announced they would be reversing this decision after intense backlash. Dude, I made the Snyder fans joke earlier, but now I'm actually starting to believe it. More iconic than the cereal itself is their mascot, the Trix Rabbit. Silly rabbit, Trix are for kids. To anyone who grew up outside of the American-based cereal sphere, you gotta understand that these were drilled into our heads as kids. I could easily recite every cereal slogan before I list all of the Midwestern state capitals. The credit for the Trix Rabbit goes to Joe Harris, a copywriter and illustrator at the Dancer Fitzgerald Advertising Agency. And the creative director was so serious about attributing the credit to him that he once wrote in an internal memo, "In a business where the only thing we have to sell are ideas, it is of first importance that credit is given where credit belongs." And Joe gets all of the credit for this one. It could be argued that of all the cereal mascots, the Trix Rabbit is the most recognizable, and that is entirely because of Joe Harris. According to the wiki, the Trix Rabbit has crossed over with Bugs Bunny one time for a commercial. But it also mentions a comparison between the Trix Rabbit and Sisyphus, so I would take that one with a grain of salt.
Short skirts are back.
Are they?
You know, you used to look great in a mini.
Did I?
Light, crisp, Special K. Low in fat, high in protein, with no cholesterol.
Yeah, honey.
Bye, darling.
The well-balanced breakfast that keeps you in shape.
When did you get that?
I bought it yesterday. By the way, I think your cup's full.
Special K keeps you looking good.
Special K is a special case. Introduced in 1955, it's marketed as a healthy cereal, even though it's similar in sugar content to other basic cereals. Specifically, the idea that Special K can aid in weight loss has been heavily promoted with the Special K Challenge. This is something that isn't pushed as much anymore, but back in the day, this was a big deal. The goal was simple: replace your meals with Special K, and you could stand to lose 6 pounds in 2 weeks. Eat a single serving of any Special K cereal with 2/3 cup of skim milk and a side of fruit for breakfast. The second meal should either be a Special K protein bar, protein shake, or another serving of cereal along with fruit. The third meal of the day is a normal meal, with drinks having no restrictions either. It even allowed you to consume 2 Special K branded snacks throughout the day. Critics of the diet pointed out the fact that the range of foods was extremely limiting, which created a diet lacking in protein. The diet is also non-specific about overeating, which is a big part of weight loss. Instead, they focused on meal replacement, no matter how many meals you ate. It's like that joke where somebody eats 20 lean cuisine meals a day because it's branded as a healthy meal. Yes, it is a meal replacement, but you're also limiting how many calories you can consume in a day. Despite the criticisms, I do have to bring up an independent study which found that the Special K challenge was at least partially effective for 3/4 of the participants, so maybe it isn't completely unfounded after all. And remember, the challenge did not specify which variety you had to eat, and there's a lot of different kinds. Original, Chocolatey Delight, Chocolatey Strawberry, Cinnamon Pecan, Red Berries, Vanilla Almond, Fruit and Yogurt, Brown Sugar Gluten-Free, Oats and Honey, Chocolate Almond, Protein, Blueberry Lemon, and Apple Cinnamon Crunch. I would wager that Chocolatey Delight is the most popular flavor, but that might be my own bias. Their only major controversy is a recall in 2013, where selected boxes might contain shards of glass, otherwise known as Captain Crunch.
To keep me from going cuckoo for the more chocolatey taste of Cocoa Puffs, I'm going to ride up and down in this elevator all day.
11th floor, Munchy.
Munchy?
12th floor, Crunchy.
Crunchy!
13th floor.
More chocolatey? That's Cocoa Puffs! Yahoo! Cocoa for Cocoa Puffs! Cocoa for Cocoa Puffs!
More chocolatey tasting Cocoa Puffs, part of this balanced breakfast with 10 important vitamins and minerals.
Being cuckoo sure has its ups and downs.
1956 saw the introduction of Cocoa Puffs, another one of the real OGs. Imagine Kix or Trix, but entirely chocolate. General Mills is behind this one as well as Kix and Trix, so who's to say this wasn't their original intention? In several instances, Cocoa Puffs has been advertised to include Hershey's chocolate on the box and in commercials. Its sugar content is once again 12 grams per serving, which seems to be the magic number for most of these mainline brands. Sonny the Bird joins the ranks of cereal mascot titans. If I had to list the main guys, I would say Tony the Tiger, the Trix Rabbit, Sonny the Bird, and a few others which we'll get to later. After all, they're the ones that got parodied in that South Park Ozempic special. I know I tend to hype up a lot of these mascots, but Cocoa Puffs is an actually special case. The term cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs has now entered the standard vernacular. The phrase is used to describe someone who's crazy, or acting crazy. What's the cause of that craziness, you may ask? Well, it might be lead. At the turn of the millennium, 2 class action lawsuits were filed against General Mills, alleging that Cocoa Puffs contained elevated levels of lead. The lawsuits cited a study by researchers at George Washington University. And this isn't your standard tabloid article study either. This was a lengthy test conducted over the course of 8 years on many products containing chocolate. This research is backed up by a more recent study conducted in 2023. But I'm more interested in Sonny himself. He's such an integral part of my childhood. That ad that I chose to open this segment with was incredibly nostalgic to me. The image of this bird bouncing around the room, turning everything into chocolate, is burned into my skull as an adult. He was introduced as the cereal's mascot in 1962, and he's been a huge hit ever since. What makes him unique is that rather than trying to keep his hands on his own cereal, like the Trix Rabbit or the Lucky Charms guy, Sonny is canonically addicted to his own product.
The only way I won't go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs is to sell everything that reminds me of its great chocolatey taste.
In the commercials, he's always trying to avoid coming into contact with the cereal, which is kind of a backwards marketing tactic, but it did really pay off for General Mills. Sonny himself was designed by Gene Cleaves, with help from Fleischer Studios' Grim Natwick of Betty Boop fame. He was originally depicted with a pink and white striped shirt.
Why are you gay?
Although this was changed in the mid-90s. He was given a more Disney-esque appearance, and in 2004, he was redesigned again, this time with no clothes. My kind of guy. Fun fact, he's actually called Sonny because in the original commercials, there was a grandpa character that would call him Sonny, and the name just stuck. Are there any different flavors of Cocoa Puffs? Well, sort of. Cocoa Puffs Combos adds vanilla puffs to the recipe, and Cocoa Puffs Brownie Crunch adds brownie pieces. Nothing too crazy. I guess if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Cocoa Puffs is one of those cereals that is too sugary for me as an adult, but I do have fond memories of it.
Good morning. It's time for a healthy breakfast.
This time your kids will eat it.
A cereal with lots of protein.
Don't worry, your kids will eat it.
And complex carbohydrates. It's Life cereal.
Relax, your kids will eat it.
Life is deliciously frosted on the inside, deliciously toasted on the outside. Life tastes so good, even grown-up kids will eat it.
There's a monster behind the chair. I ate all your cereal.
Life and Cinnamon Life cereal. Unless they're weird, your kids will eat it.
Now we enter the 1960s with Life cereal. Life is a Quaker Oats original. Its appearance is similar to Chex, but much thinner and slightly sweeter than most varieties of Chex are. The original is actually marketed as a multi-grain cereal, since there have been so many different varieties of the stuff. But before we get to that, the original has 6 grams of sugar, a nice middle ground between cereals like Wheaties and Corn Flakes, and standard cereals like Frosted Flakes and Cocoa Puffs. Are you starting to get an idea of the sugar spectrum here? You've got the healthy ones on this side, everything in the middle has like 12.
She said she was 12!
And anything over that is categorized as heart-stopping. Life is one of those rare instances where something is medium healthy in terms of sugar. As far as mascots go, Life isn't really one of those cereals. The marketing isn't targeted so strongly towards children. It's more of a healthy alternative that's still decently sweet tasting, making it a personal favorite of mine.
This is cute. I want this inside of me.
The closest thing we have to a mascot for Life is Mikey, featured in the now iconic Hey Mikey commercials from the 70s. Different variants of Life include Cinnamon Life, Raisin Life, Baked Apple Life, Honey Graham Life, Vanilla Yogurt Crunch Life, Chocolate Oat Crunch Life, Maple and Brown Sugar Life, and Vanilla Life. I've only ever had the original, and that one to me is pretty close to cereal perfection.
I'm finally here. I've come for the ultimate fruit taste of Fruit Loops.
I'm going to check out that noise. My, what's this?
What? How? Gotcha! Toucan Sam, where are the Fruit Loops?
I didn't bring any.
To free Sam, should we give the Fruit Monster Kellogg's Fruit Loop cereal the fruity part of this good breakfast? You can choose yes or no at toucansam.com. Ask your parents' permission.
Our final cereal for part 1 is the classic Fruit Loops, brought to market in 1963. Kellogg's found themselves another all-time classic with its introduction, which consists of fruit-flavored O-rings. Another point of contention with Fruit Loops is whether or not every color loop has the same flavor or not. In fact, they do. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple doesn't matter. They all taste the freaking same. Now, I challenge General Mills to release the Indigo Loop. Good luck finding a natural dye for that one. The Fruit Loops marketing team has really outdone themselves. Toucan Sam is one of the classics.
I want this inside.
But the commercials from the 2000s have the same vibes as those Goldfish commercials, where there's an ongoing story. In this miniseries, Toucan Sam has 3 little toucans, and the DuckTales comparisons are front and center. In the ads, they travel around the world, introducing new flavors like Fruit Loops Birthday Cake, Fruit Loops Tropical, and Mermaid Fruit Loops. I'd actually recommend checking out the full playlist of these commercials. They're decently entertaining and well animated, and for a while there, Toucan Sam was voiced by the legendary Mel Blanc. For a cereal as widely known as Fruit Loops, there's surprisingly not much to cover here. I should probably mention that the standard box of Fruit Loops contains 12 grams of sugar, but you could have guessed that at this point. There's some other flavors out there, but they're not well documented. I was a little disappointed to see the lack of variety with this brand. But you know what's not limited in variety? Captain fucking Crunch. And if you want to see me cover the wild story that is Captain Crunch, please leave a like on this video and consider subscribing. I know, but I had to cut this one short, because I realized that I was already at the script length I was at for the soda video, but I've only covered half the cereals I eventually want to cover. You guys seem to really like the soda video, so if this video does well enough, which I think it will, I'll do a part 2 with the rest of the cereals, like Lucky Charms and Reese's Puffs. Remember, we have a Discord server for both this channel and my second channel, Lavender Candles. We also have a Patreon where you can support me directly. I'm still working on getting more benefits set up. I think I'm gonna start streaming some games over there. If you have any Steam games you'd want to see me play, let me know in the comments of this video and in the chat feature of Patreon. I'm extremely grateful for your guys' support on the channel so far. I'm close to being able to do this YouTube thing as a full-time job. I've been saying that for a while, but this month was the first month since the original docs that I've made more than my budget. So we're almost at that dream come true. Also, the Candles OC challenge still has a while to go. You have until July 10th to get your submissions in. I've seen some really strong contenders so far. So again, thank you for all the continued support, and thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. I love you all. Good night.